What is up, everybody? Bootman here, and we're back with another Marvel Snap video. And in this video, we're gonna talk about how to become a smarter snapper, all right? The goal of Marvel Snap is to gain as many cubes as possible, but more importantly, to lose as few cubes as possible. So I'm going to go over some different strategies of how you can become a smarter snapper, all right? But before we get started, if you're new here, hi, my name is Chris, AKA Bootman, and if you love Marvel Snap as much as I do, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. I love discussing different decks, cards, strategies. One of my main goals is to help people hit infinite, but also as battle mode rolls out, competitive starts and all that, that is my jam. So that's what we're all about here. So if you're into that, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell. We're trying to hit 7,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We only need like 330 more, and you could be one of them. And you could join our awesome Discord community down in the description below. All right, we have a bunch of great topics for different channels and discussing all this stuff, some fun ones too. And follow me on Twitter at BootmanMSTZ over on Twitter, linked down below, because I'm doing monthly giveaways for the season pass. All right, cool. Let's get started. So those of you who are familiar with me, you know, I got a problem. I got a problem with some first turn snapping and things like that. And it's been on my mind a lot lately, okay? So I wanted to discuss some different strategies and explain some of the logic and rationale behind it, all right? But a couple things real quick first, all right? Like, listen, like, I don't know. People like to push back and argue with me about this. Like, I'm just here to try to make you a better player. Like, if you wanna go snapping all willy-nilly all over the place, do your thing. I swear to you, I will not lose sleep at night if you just keep snapping your heart away, okay? My main concern is I have a lot of people saying, Chris, how do I hit infinite? Chris, I've been stuck at this rank forever, Chris. And I know a lot of you have very bad snapping strategies, okay? Something I was taught a long time ago is if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you wanna get better, but you keep doing the same thing you're doing, not much is gonna change, okay? But the other thing that I really wanna get out of the way is this, and I've said it in a recent video: stop making excuses for dumb snapping strategies, okay? Not dumb snapping strategies, but just dumb snapping overall. It is the #1 thing I hear. Whenever I showcase some people doing really dumb snaps and I explain why it was a dumb snap, people are like, well, maybe they, no, some people just make really bad and dumb decisions, and you need to stop making excuses for them, because it is going to translate to you and give you bad habits, okay? So that's why in this, I'm going to explain some thought processes behind this and when it is a bad idea to snap and when you should just play the game through, take your cubes and go, okay? Because the main focus of this video, like, I wanna discuss impulse control. All right, so 10 years ago, your boy got sober. I stopped using drugs and alcohol, life was a mess. A big issue that many drug addicts and alcoholics have is impulse control, okay? This is part of the prefrontal cortex in the brain. This part of the brain is what separates us from all the other animals out there. It gives us the ability to think, okay? Now, part of this and strengthening the prefrontal cortex is impulse control, okay? We think things through. One of the books I recommended in my video about different books to read to make you better at Marvel Snap, the very first one on the list was from Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman, okay? And his colleague who passed away, Amos Tversky, who wasn't around for the Nobel Prize. But anyways, they talk about system 1 and system 2 thinking, right? System 1 is the fast, impulsive type of reactive thinking, okay? System 2 is more calm and deliberative. Me and you, baby, to get better at Marvel Snap, we're system 2 thinkers. System 1 thinker is gonna lose you a lot of cubes, okay? So we're talking about impulse control. So the first thing that I wanna talk about is calm down. What is your rush, okay? Like, this is something that I keep thinking about, okay? Like, think about it like when you're driving and you see people just speeding, cutting people off and stuff like that. When I see that, and since my son's 14, gonna be 16 pretty soon, right? I'm always talking to him like, what do you think that person's hurry is, right? Why do you think they're in such a hurry, you know? Because driving fast is dangerous, all right? It's not good. And, you know, you could say, oh, well, maybe that person's in a hurry. My question is, why didn't they leave earlier, you know? I used to have a problem with being late all the time. Now I leave earlier. okay? So my question is, what is the rush? What is the hurry? Why do you need these cubes so fast, all right? Especially when you're making such a risky decision, okay? So to discuss this, I actually did a test, and a lot of people on Twitter and in the Discord, they're like, oh man, you really probably made that person mad. But I wanted to see, how long is the timer? How long is the timer in Marvel Snap? Okay, so just straight up, the timer in Marvel Snap, here are the numbers, all right? Here, let me actually put it up on the screen for you since I did it here. Here's my little notepad that I put here. So turn one, okay? Turn one is 35 seconds. Turn two is 40 seconds. Turn three, 50, turn four, 50, turn five and six are 60, all right? So you have plenty of time. There's no rush. Now, I actually thought that was longer. There are some other things that create variables. Like I believe when someone snaps, it makes the turn longer because it gives you more time to respond to it. And then also someone brought up on Twitter, like Daredevil. Daredevil gives you a little bit more time on turn five. So when discussing first turn snapping and how much time you actually have, one of the things that I keep asking myself, and I don't think people have a great answer for it until we collect the data. And personally, I think the burden of proof is on first turn snappers to get that data. But I'm trying to think, what is the logic behind first turn snapping? If you believe you have such a strong hand, why not wait until turn two? Why not wait until turn three? Do you see what I mean? What is the drawback of doing that, aside from just trying to speed up the process? I've mentioned this before because people often relate this to poker and pre-flop betting. Extremely different because you have no reads on the other person. The locations completely change things, right? For example, you're running an ongoing deck and then it has the Isle of Silence, right? That's not something you were expecting. You know what I mean? So why not wait? Like, why not wait until turn two or three just to be sure? The argument would be, oh, well, what if they retreat by then? What if I don't lock them in? You would need to collect data to prove that, okay? Why? Because you're the one putting yourself in a risky situation by snapping on turn one. But if you wait until turn two or three, you are able to see what the locations are. You're able to get a feel of what their deck is, okay? And I have a prime example right here. So right here, this is from a tweet. This is from a tweet last night while I was playing. This was against a first turn snapper. So they snapped when no cards were on the board and the only location we could see was Oscorp, okay? They snapped, all right? And again, I'm like, why are they first turn snapping? What kind of hand do they have? So keep in mind, just so you know, can you see that? I'm playing a Darkhawk deck. Do you see what the second location was, all right? So if this person would have waited until turn two, so they didn't even play a card on turn one, I didn't either, turn two becomes Subterranea. Then I drop Korg, okay? If this person would have waited until turn two, at least, not even turn three, just at least turn two, they would have seen my Korg drop on Subterranea and they could have paused. They could have paused and said, holy crap, is this person running a Darkhawk deck? Because if this person is running a Darkhawk deck, my chances of winning just plummeted because the game just gave me 5 cards in my deck that is going to give his Darkhawk plus 10 power, okay? So think about that for a second. Why did they not wait until turn two? All right, I guess there would be an argument to be had that if they waited until turn two, I would have snapped them back or something and would have locked them in, but it also would have given them the opportunity to just not snap at all, to retreat and only lose 1 cube, which I think is a much stronger argument. And if you're wondering the results of that game, it's right here, okay? I only have 3 cards on the board and the Widow's Bite that swapped. Look at that, look at that. This person lost 8 cubes because when Subterranea came out, I snapped him back. So again, like, is this not a prime example of why first turn snapping is a bad idea? They had no idea what deck I was playing, no idea what the second location was, all right? So think about that for a second, okay? The other thing that I wanna talk about real quick when it comes to impulse control is, and I see this all the time, it's when people when you counter something your opponent is doing and you immediately snap, again, impulse control, all right? Here's some examples. I had somebody this morning, I was using my, here, I'll show you the deck. I was playing my Darkhawk deck and I dropped Wong, okay? I dropped Wong. They probably couldn't get a real feel for what I had going on. Like I had a Zabu and then I had Wong and then they Cosmo'd my Wong, okay? They Cosmo'd my Wong before I dropped any cards on Wong, all right? They instantly snapped. Now, why? Why would you do that? You're assuming that Wong was my core card and anything that I was doing was based on Wong, all right? I ended up winning that game because it didn't affect my strategy too much. Like, Wong is just like, he's just a gift, he's a present, right? Like, I have Rock Slide in here, I got Absorbing Man in here, I got Korg in here, like, I'm gonna put some rocks in your deck even without Wong. I have Moon Girl too. Like, if I Moon Girl into Rock Slide, right? Or I have double Darkhawks, like, Wong didn't mean anything. I actually ended up winning that because, in one of the locations, I dropped Darkhawk on Wong. So just because you get off a counter doesn't mean that you should instantly snap, right? Like, go ahead and counter it and then pause. Like, think about it for a second. Ask yourself, what kind of deck are they playing? Like, what, did my Cosmo completely mess up their game? Was their entire deck on reveal, right? Do you have that information? Take the time that the game is allowing you to think through these things. But I see people instant snap. It's the same thing with like an Enchantress, right? An Enchantress drops on, you know, let's say my Darkhawk, okay, or my Zabu, you know? Like, ask yourself, did I really mess up their game? Now, if you think you did, go ahead, snap your heart away. But it's the instant snap. It's when I could tell that you're in the system one thinking and you didn't fully go through that process, all right? Because let me tell you this, and like I said, we're leading up into battle mode. Things are about to get real with competitive play and tournaments and stuff like that. You're going to be playing against good players, all right? Good players have a plan B and a plan C. So when you drop your Enchantress, your Cosmo, your Shang-Chi, whatever it is, they have something else going on, all right? Now, do they have the cards and all that? I don't know. That all depends. But you need to at least pause and ask yourself these questions. But if you think like the only time that would work is if I was dumb enough to just run a Wong Gambit deck and I wanted to just blow up the entire side of their board, right? Which I don't think good players play those decks seriously. Okay? So pause and ask yourself that before just going crazy. And the next one I want to talk about is location-based ones, okay? So again, this comes down to impulse control and it's similar to dropping that counter. It's locations like Sokovia, right? Or like Grand Central Station, or what's the other one that just pulls out a card immediately? Whatever it is. And like I had a game earlier where Sokovia happened and it took out like my Mystique and then something terrible of theirs, right? Like something that they didn't even use. They instantly snapped. Turn one, location one, and I'm sitting there asking myself, similar to the counter question, like, do you think that my entire strategy hinged on this one card right here on turn one? You haven't seen anything. You haven't seen anything from my deck aside from Mystique. Now, there are some other situations and variables that come into play. Like, so if it took out a different card that was more of like a core card to a deck, which I'm trying to think of like what it is, like what that would be. I can't think of any off the top of my head where it's like the one card where it's like make or break, right? Like maybe a Zabu, you know, that kind of screws up some decks, you know, whatever. I'm thinking of like, cause I get the impulse, like I wanna snap when I see someone's hella get discarded too, right? I'm like, this really screwed them up. With that situation, I usually wait for like hella and like a Ghost Rider, you know, something like that where I'm like, okay, now the chances of you like bringing something back in are very, very slim. But anyways, the location-based ones, like, why would you snap me just because Mystique's gone? Like, calm down, wait a second, like at least wait for me to play a card. See it, like, am I playing like a Patriot deck? Am I playing like a Cerebro deck? Like, what am I playing? Like Mystique, that's just a benefit. If I'm honest, my first strategy with this deck is to Moon Girl Hawkeye, or what, not Hawkeye, Dark Hawk, okay? Because I can drop 2 Dark Hawks and something else on turn 6, whereas with Mystique, sometimes if I don't have Zabu, Mystique's useless anyways. So the person snapping me because Sokovia took out my Mystique is bonkers. That doesn't make any sense. So the very last thing I want to talk about, and I promise you this will make you a better player, especially if you're coming from poker, like, this isn't poker. Don't bluff. Don't bluff. The screenshot I'm showing you right now, I tweeted this out as well, because I'm really trying to like show you guys like what I'm talking about when I'm saying bad snapping strategies for all the people who defend bad snapping strategies. This person snapped me on turn 5, okay? Not turn 1, not turn 2, 3, or 4. They snapped me on turn 5. There was 1 left, okay? And on this turn right here, on turn 5, I Spider-Man the middle location, and they snapped me, okay? So their Nightcrawler was to the left. They had 1 slot open on the right. I was pretty confident, okay? I had a bunch of rocks in their deck. Look how powerful my Darkhawk is. He's at 21. So they had at least 10 cards in their deck, okay? So this person, by the way, read everything on the board. I had Wong out with Korg and with Rock Slide. If you see this, that means somebody is most likely playing Darkhawk, okay? So they snapped me on turn 5 and I'm like, man, like what do they have? I really thought they were dropping like, maybe like, I don't know, a Hella or something, because you know, it's, I don't know, this is a weird deck, okay? And what they ended up doing on turn 5 was snapping, and on turn 6, they moved Nightcrawler from right here to right here in the middle, so they moved 5 power, then they dropped a rock right there on the right, and they lost. Now, I had somebody actually message me on Twitter, they're like, not about this specific game, but a different one, they're like, hey, are you sure that wasn't a bot? So I've been doing the bot test, and one of those things you do is you emote to them, and then they emote back. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to look like a big old dum-dum talking crap about a bot while trying to explain to you guys some strategy. So the people, when I share these, trust me, I've tested them, done the bot test, so unless Second Dinner has like changed how bots work, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, like that was a silly move. Don't bluff. Don't bluff. Like, I'm gonna play it through. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think the only card where you can get away with bluffing is Daredevil. I think that is the only situation on turn 5, because I can't think of a single person, I can't think of a single Marvel Snap player who doesn't get fear in their heart when somebody with Daredevil snaps on turn 5. There are so many different things that can happen. It could be a Professor X, it could be a Hobgoblin, it could be so many different things, okay? Like when they can see your move, that is a huge, huge benefit. All right, so yeah, that's what I want to go over. So let's just run through it real quick, okay? First and foremost, impulse control. You have a while during each turn, okay? And especially if the opponent snaps, you have even longer. If Daredevil's on the board, you have even longer. Take your time. Play out that entire duration. Run through every thought process in your head. Before you hit that snap button, ask yourself all the important questions, all right? Do I know what deck they're running? Do they have counters to my deck? Do I have counters to their deck? Okay, slow down. What is your rush? And also think about it. Why not wait until turn 2 or turn 3 to snap? Until you're able to provide me with data, and eventually I'm just gonna do it when I get some spare time, until you can provide me with data that people retreat often on turn 2 or 3 when you snap, like, I don't see why you shouldn't wait, okay? Next thing, do not instantly snap when you counter somebody's card with your card. Don't do it. Take your time, work through that process, think about it. Think about, is this their only plan? Is this the only thing that they could have done? Did I just screw up everything in their deck, or did I just kind of, cause a little annoyance for them? Next thing, do not instantly snap because of a location. Okay, we also see this with X Mansion. I forgot to say that location, where X Mansion gives them a strong card, gives you a weak one, right? And by the way, stop snapping on like District X or whatever when it swaps you decks, right? And you like pull out a decent card. Like, come on, you have no idea what other cards it's gonna give you. One card is rarely ever gonna win you. All right, so just stop doing that. Impulse control, people. And then lastly, don't bluff. Don't bluff in this game. It's not gonna work. Only bluff if you have Daredevil. That's it. All right. Like I said, this is here to help you. Take it or leave it. If you want to keep snapping all willy-nilly and playing all fast and loose with your cubes, go for it. Fine by me. All right. But I expect a lot of you are coming here to get better. So hopefully this helped. All right. But anyways, that's all I got for this video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell, and make sure you join our Discord community down in the description below. Follow me on Twitter at BootmanMSTZ, also linked down below. I'm doing monthly giveaways for the season pass. All right. So yeah, that's all I got for this video. I think I'll be back. Yeah, I'll definitely be back tomorrow. I have a really cool interview coming out with somebody about pricing and Marvel Snap and stuff like that. So you don't want to miss it. All right. So have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see you next time.